Well, all those GMs probably gonna get fired because this is a money business, and the money is about Caitlin Clark.
The mainstream media tried to bury the truth. The executives tried to rewrite history, and the general managers of the WNBA thought they could quietly push their own agenda without anyone calling them out. They thought they could protect the old guard. They were wrong, dead wrong. Because when a four-time Olympic gold medalist, three-time MVP, and absolute basketball royalty steps up to a national microphone and openly calls for the firing of WNBA executives, you know the entire system is breaking down. Lisa Leslie just walked into ESPN's First Take and said the exact thing that every person in this league has been dancing around for 3 long years. She looked dead into the camera and said all those GMs are probably going to get fired because this is a money business, and the money is about Caitlin Clark. She said never in the history of the WNBA have we had a player force teams to get into larger arenas. I have never seen that happen. She said, if you are the GM, you are obviously supposed to be bringing in money. That is revenue. I am going with Caitlin Clark. Lisa Leslie, 3-time WNBA champion, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, the greatest player in Los Angeles Sparks history, a Hall of Famer, the woman who threw down the first dunk in WNBA history, just dunked on the entire WNBA front office. A legend who built the very foundation of this league sat on national television and obliterated every single GM who ranked Clark below Paige Buecher's in the franchise player survey. And the room went totally silent because she was absolutely right.
Well, all those GMs probably gonna get fired because this is a money business, and the money is about Caitlin Clark, who is the player who has made, never in the history of the WNBA have we had a player force team.
This is WNBA Pro, and Lisa Leslie just said in 60 seconds what the basketball establishment has been refusing to admit for years. Let me give you the full, unfiltered context, because everything Leslie said on First Take builds on top of each other into one of the most devastating critiques of the WNBA's leadership class that the sport has ever seen. It started with the GM survey, 15 general managers, the architects of the league's future. They were asked who they would build a franchise around entering 2026. Paige Buecher's got 33%, Clark got 20%, A'ja Wilson got 20%. Clark dropped from 50% last year to 20% this year after one injury-plagued season. Buecher's jumped from nowhere to first place after one outstanding rookie campaign. Think about that logic for a second. The GMs collectively decided that a 24-year-old with one healthy, record-breaking WNBA season under her belt had suddenly been surpassed by a 23-year-old who just finished her first professional season. They tried to push a narrative. Leslie heard those numbers and went straight to work. She did not hedge. She did not say, well, you can make the case for Buecher's. She did not offer the diplomatic, both sides take that ESPN usually gravitates toward. She didn't play the political game. She said the GMs are probably going to get fired because this is a money business, and Clark is the money.
A player forced teams to get into larger arenas. I've never seen that happen, and so if you're the GM, you're obviously...
Nobody is talking about why Leslie's framing is more powerful than any basketball argument you could possibly make. Because she did not argue basketball. She argued business. She argued cold, hard capitalism. And in professional sports, business always wins the argument. You can debate whether Buecher's is a better player than Clark right now. Reasonable people can disagree. Buecher's had an excellent rookie season. Her shooting efficiency was elite. Her court vision was impressive. Her composure at age 23 was remarkable. The case for Buecher's at number 1 is not insane if you are only looking at a spreadsheet of basketball stats. But here is what you cannot argue. You cannot argue the economics. You cannot argue the cultural tidal wave. When Clark plays, arenas sell out in minutes. When Clark comes to town, opposing teams are forced to move games to massive NBA-sized venues just to hold the crowd. When Clark is on television, networks see ratings spike by 50 to 100%. When Clark is injured, ratings drop 55% within 2 weeks. Clark was responsible for over 26% of all WNBA economic activity in her rookie year alone. Let me repeat that. One player. Over a quarter of the league's financial pulse. The league's media deal grew from $2.2 billion to $3.1 billion in 2 years, primarily because of the massive, unprecedented audience that Caitlin Clark attracts. These are not subjective basketball opinions. These are measurable financial facts. And a general manager's primary job, as Leslie pointed out directly, is to bring in revenue, to put winning basketball products on the floor that people will pay top dollar to watch, to build franchise value, to generate massive returns for ownership. Every single one of those functions is maximized by having Caitlin Clark on your roster. The GMs who voted for Bookers made a basketball decision rooted in the old guard's mentality. Leslie is saying they should be making a business decision for the future. And in the real world of professional sports ownership, business decisions are the only decisions that actually matter when it comes to franchise building.
Point shot is really just icing on the cake. She has such deep range. Defense is obviously aware of where she is, and so she's getting a lot more pressure out there. And she's a fighter. She's a competitor. I wouldn't be worried about that three-point shot.
Well, should we be worried about the Indiana Fever and what they're going to be able to do this year? What are your expectations for them?
Do not get me wrong here. Bookers deserves enormous respect. She was magnificent in her first WNBA season. She proved that the #1 overall pick label was not just hype. She is going to be one of the defining, generational players of her era. WNBA Pro is not dismissing Paige Bookers. She is extraordinary. And in a purely basketball sense, inside a vacuum, you can make the argument that she might be the better player right now at this specific moment in time, given Clark's injury history and shooting struggles in the early season. But Leslie's point is not purely basketball, and that is exactly why it lands so incredibly hard. It is a reality check. Stay with me, because Leslie did not stop with the GM survey. She went even further into the belly of the beast. She went to the Paris Olympics. Stephen A. Smith asked her about Clark being left off the 2024 Olympic roster, the single biggest missed marketing opportunity in the history of women's sports. And Leslie said, "I do not know how we left the country without her." She said Clark is a game changer. She said Clark has moved the needle in a way that women's basketball had not seen before.
We rolled back some of the tweets back when I said it. I don't know how we left the country without her. I said that because I felt like she is a game changer. She's moved the game and the needle in a way that we had not seen in women's basketball.
She said she thought Clark not necessarily earned a spot, but deserved to be there based on sheer impact. And then she said the part that should have every single USA basketball executive shifting uncomfortably in their seat right now. She looked right at the camera and said, "Part of it is political." Political, that is a dangerous word in sports. Lisa Leslie said the Paris Olympic omission was political, a Hall of Famer, a player who lived through the complex, exhausting politics of women's basketball for 20 years. A woman who knows exactly from the inside how these closed-door decisions get made and why certain players get chosen and others do not. She said what Clark's supporters have been shouting from the rooftops for 2 years. The decision to leave Clark off the Olympic roster in 2024 was not purely a basketball decision. There were other forces at play. There was jealousy, there was a desire to protect veterans, and Leslie named it perfectly: political.
Not seen in women's basketball before. I thought she not necessarily earned a spot.
Correct.
But deserved to be there. And then, it's part of it is political. You get to pick whoever you want.
That is one of the most powerful, paradigm-shifting things a WNBA legend has ever said about the internal politics of the sport. And it didn't happen on a podcast. It came on a mainstream ESPN platform, on First Take, in front of a massive national audience that includes millions of people who do not follow the WNBA closely. Leslie just told casual sports fans across the globe that the establishment made a petty, political decision that denied Clark the global Olympic stage she rightfully deserved. And that matters, because it adds critical context to every other way Clark has been systematically disrespected by the basketball establishment over the last 2 years. The ESPN Top 25 list snub. The peer vote ranking her 9th among guards. The GM survey dropping her to 20%. The ESPN W Top 10 list ranking her 10th. The Paris Olympic omission. All of it is connected. All of it is part of a pattern. And Lisa Leslie just gave that pattern a name: political.
And they're to be respected and appreciated and all of this other stuff. But I was one of those people that felt Caitlin Clark should have been on Team USA. I was thinking about the profile of women's basketball. Anything that could uplift the profile and give more notoriety and more shine.
But here is the part of the Leslie appearance that should actually give Fever fans the most comfort right now. Amidst all the drama, she was also asked about Clark's three-point shooting slump. 3 of 16 to start the season, 18% from deep. The media has been having a field day with these numbers, hit piece after hit piece. And Lisa Leslie, she was not worried at all. She smiled. She said Clark is going to figure it out. She said the mechanics are flawless. She said the talent is undeniable. She said patience is warranted. Because what the media won't tell you is that Clark is getting guarded at 94 feet. She is getting double-teamed the moment she steps off the team bus. And she is still orchestrating the offense. A 3-time champion who watched Clark absolutely dominate at the FIBA qualifiers in March is not hitting the panic button over 2 early season games. That is the perspective that gets entirely lost in the day-to-day toxic noise of social media. Leslie has seen the greatest players in history go through cold stretches. She has seen the brutal mental adjustment that comes from returning from significant injury. She knows what Clark's shot looks like at its absolute best. And she is telling everyone who will listen that the slump is temporary and the greatness is permanent. Here is the bottom line. Lisa Leslie did something on First Take that the mainstream sports media has been failing to do for months. She told the undeniable truth. She said Clark is the most valuable player in this league economically, period. She said the GM survey was a colossal business failure by people who are paid millions to know better. She said the Olympic omission was political and fundamentally unjust. And she said she would take Clark over Booker's every single time because the money, the fans, and the future of the league follows Caitlin Clark. That is the exact analysis WNBA Pro has been delivering since Clark's rookie season. We saw it coming, and now the greatest, most respected player in WNBA history is backing it up on live national television. The mainstream media may have tried to move on from the Caitlin Clark story. They may have tried to silence the revolution, but Lisa Leslie has not, and neither have we. This is WNBA Pro. Smash that subscribe button if you want the one channel on YouTube that has been saying exactly what Lisa Leslie just said for 3 years. Drop your wildest take in the comments below. Was Leslie right to publicly call out the GMs and threaten their jobs, or is Bucher's actually the better, safer franchise investment? I want to read every single opinion. Hit the notification bell right now, because this season is just beginning. The drama is heating up, and the raw truth is going to keep coming out.